Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and I've got a fun one for you today. I want to do a quick video and talk to you about the magic of color psychology and how you can use that to help tell your stories in film, especially animation. There are so many different ways to affect the audience, obviously, when you're creating an animated film. There's the acting, obviously. There's how do you set your staging up in your shot. But a major way of affecting the audience is how do you color your shots? How do you bring color through? Because it does affect the psychology. It affects your mood. It affects how the audience sees your film. There's a lot of really fun things you can do. So I'm just going to take you through a couple of small things that I've done in my recent film, Snow Bear, the film I did a few years ago, Brother Bear. These are just going to scratch the surface. I really encourage you to take these and explore further what you can do with color and how you can use it to help affect the psychology of your audience and tell a better story. Okay? So let's jump over to the screen. Here we have the magic of color psychology and how to use that color to help tell your story. So the first thing I want to start with is Snow Bear. Snow Bear is a film that I've just recently finished. I animated it all myself. It's just an 11-minute film, but I really dove deep into the color and the color palette and the structure of the color through the film to help tell my story. So when we open the film, it opens in a very wide, open, harsh environment. So I wanted, it's a story about a polar bear living in the Arctic who's lonely. He wants to make friends, but nobody seems to want to make friends with him. And so when we established the opening shot, this is the opening shot, I wanted it to be really inhospitable. So it's big and open, but you'll also see that there's lots of blues and grays, and it's cold. It enhances that. I almost want you to feel like you have to put a sweater on when you watch it. And when you see the film, it's actually blowing snow through, but you'll also see a lot of jagged shapes in here that really make it feel inhospitable. Sorry. Here's another shot. So it's dynamic, it's jagged, it's rugged, and it's cold. I'm using lots of cool colors to get across the sense of cold in the film. And so this is our first shot when we see our snow bear. And as he continues through, he sees various animals, like this Arctic fox. But notice how everything's cold, gray. He looks up, and the one thing that is warm is him. He's got a warm heart. He wants to make friends. Everything else around him is cold. But you can see there's a slightly warm tone to him. Now, when you see polar bears in the wild, they do have this warm, they're not just white. There's a warmth to their white. There's a yellow ochre kind of tint. And I really wanted to capitalize on that and get this sense of he's kind of a beacon. There's a warmth to him in this cold, cold world. And so you might not actively think about that, but you might emotionally feel it. And that's really the idea behind using color to affect the psychology of your audience. Once again, here's our fox who does not want to be friends with him. And so look at his color. He's cold. And even when he comes into the light, he's got a cold light to him. And so our polar bear is sad. Here's another scene later on where he's up on a hilltop and he sees all these geese flying south for the winter. And he's like, hey guys, what about me? He's waving at them. And once again, it's a cold, gray, cloudy world. And we see we cut to above him and we look down on him. And once again, we just see this cold landscape, these geese flying by, and this little beacon of warmth in the middle. Now, later on in the story, there's a scene where this is called Snow Bear. So he decides if he can't find any friends, he's actually going to make a friend. Literally, he makes a snow bear. And in that section, there's hope and joy. And so when we come into this section, I wanted to get rid of that cold. I wanted to get rid of all that loneliness. And so I decided to make the colors a bit more, for lack of a better term, warm and candy-like and inviting. And so that's what I did in this section. This is where he finds a snowdrift and he goes up to touch it, and then he realizes, hey, I can sculpt this into a snow bear and I can be friends. And so this is the snow bear that he sculpts, and he's very happy about it. And you can see all the warmth, the violets, the yellows, the blues, all of that. These are warm blues. These are blues that are set against the oranges. I'm playing complements. I want to see, vibrant color in here. And so he sits down, he puts his arm around his newfound friend, and there's hope. And then we go on with the rest of the story and have some fun. But I wanted you to see this section so you could see how I used color in the first act of my story to set up loneliness, emptiness, this foreboding feel, and then using color, vibrant color, to evoke hope and happiness. That's what I did with Snow Bear. That's one example. Let's move on to Brother Bear, because we did some really fun things with Brother Bear. I don't know how many of you have seen Brother Bear, but if you have, you'll understand that Brother Bear, the thematic, the story, what it's about seeing through another's eyes. It's about understanding the point of view of another. And that's key. I want you to understand that's key. Seeing through another's eyes is key to what I'm going to show you. Because you can take a thematic, you can take what the story is about, and you can apply that to your color. And what we also did in this is we also applied it to our aspect ratio. Now, the aspect ratio is the shape of the film. How does it sit? And I'll take you through it. So, in the beginning of the film, we have a standard aspect ratio, and these are examples. These are shots from the film with Kenai hunting the bear. Now, there's the aspect ratio, but I also want you to notice the color. We do have a full palette of color, but it's desaturated, okay? All of the color is kind of muted. If you watch that first act in Brother Bear, you'll notice even in shots that are meant to be colorful, the colors are somewhat muted. So let me show you the aspect ratio. 1.85 is at the top, 2.35 is on the bottom. That's 1.85 units wide to 1 unit high, 2.35 units wide to 1 unit high. One is standard, the other one is CinemaScope, or standard widescreen, the other one is CinemaScope, which is on the bottom. So what we did was, because he literally sees through new eyes, we did two things. The first act, everything's muted, and everything is in the standard widescreen, the 1.18 or the 1.85 aspect ratio. When he turns into a bear and goes unconscious, the film goes black. The beginning of the second act, he wakes up and we see through his eyes. And we're literally seeing through new eyes because he's been turned into a bear. We really want to push that idea, the thematic of seeing through another's eyes. When you can see through another's eyes, you can understand the world better. That's really the theme of the film. So when he opens his eyes, all of a sudden we see that the film has gone wide. He's seeing a wider view now. He's seeing a bigger world. And we've saturated the color. So let me show you. This is him after he's washed up on shore, after he's turned into a bear, and we fade to black. And then, when we come back up, the world has gone wide and it's gone very saturated. Now, you might not realize what you're seeing, but it's there psychologically. That's what we want to do when we use color. We want to be able to not just affect the audience's emotions through the acting and what the characters are saying, but we want to do it through what they're feeling and seeing, or seeing and feeling, I should say. So, after the first act, and we go into the second act, now all of our shots are widescreen, they're CinemaScope, and they're saturated with all this color. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's upbeat, and he's literally seeing through new eyes, okay? Now, Here's another section I wanted to talk about. And this is very kind of, this is what you might think about when someone says, how do you use color to affect the audience? This is really kind of a color 101. We have a section called the Valley of Fire where the Kenai and Coda have to go through and navigate. It's very dangerous. So what do? We give it danger colors. So often danger is red. And so that's what we literally did as we went in and we created the entire valley in tones of red and orange. So we want to make it hot. We want to make it dangerous. We want to make it foreboding. So we added layers of steam as well so you can't quite see. And so here, when we have Denahi, who's hunting them, attack, not only do we have the action happening, but we also have the psychological feel of all this red, hot, dangerous color that's affecting our mood, okay? So those are just 3 examples of how you can use color to affect the mood and the storytelling in your film. There are so many other ways to use color. I could go on for hours and hours and hours, but this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. Once again, I really encourage you to kind of dive deep into it and study more, and you can really use color to help tell your story even better. So if you like that, then go on over to my website, creatureartteacher.com, where you'll find more courses on color, including animation, filmmaking, storyboarding, watercolor, oil painting, all kinds of great courses on art in general. Also, I want to let you know, if you go on over to my website, creatureartteacher.com, and you sign up for my newsletter before Christmas, then on December 25th, you're going to have a brand new free course delivered to you. So sign up for my newsletter and get a brand new free course from me for Christmas. Go on out there, put some beauty back into the world, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.